Hello FPL managers and welcome back for another video. My name's Jack and today we're going to go over our updated wildcard team selection for Game Week 9. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video. Also click that notification bell so you guys don't miss any future uploads. With that being said, let's jump into the video. So let's take a look at this wildcard squad. The first thing to note here is the team value is sitting at around £101.3 million, which should hopefully be pretty affordable for most managers. If not, there are a couple of adjustments that can be made to the team to make it a little bit cheaper and thus therefore more affordable. In goals, we've gone with Vicente Guaita. He's coming in at around £4.5 million. For me, he's got a very good fixture on it from now until Game Week 16, where of course you do get that second wildcard made available, and Crystal Palace just have some excellent fixtures over this time, where hopefully Guaita can get those clean sheets. Chelsea at home this week is definitely a more tricky fixture from a defensive standpoint, but after that, as we've discussed previously with Wilfried Zaha, those Crystal Palace fixtures are looking very promising, and Guaita can always chip in with those save bonus as well, which does make him a tempting option. Otherwise, David Raya at a similar price could be a good pick, but Brentford's defence has been a bit leaky so far this season, so let's just go for Guaita instead, as for me he's slightly a better pick. Looking at the defenders, Alexander-Arnold comes in. He is a more premium option, of course, £7.4 million. There has been a lot of frustration around his performance so far this season. But for me, Brighton at home is a good fixture, and of course, as we also discussed previously, in Game Weeks 12 and onwards, Liverpool do have some very good fixtures, where most managers will definitely be looking to jump back on those Liverpool assets. So for me, it's good to get ahead of the curve here, jump on Trent now, hopefully he can perform well against Brighton at home. Yes, Arsenal and Manchester City, as 2 out of his next 3 are a bit tricky, but it just saves you that transfer down the line, as I'm sure many managers will flock to get him in, as Liverpool do have that good fixture turn from Game Weeks 12 through 16, where pretty much up until you get that second wild card, Trent and Salah are most likely to be featuring in the squads, as they should perform quite well over this 4 to 5 game week period. João Cancelo is another premium defender in here. For me, he's probably the best premium defender option in the game right now. Man City's defence, of course, is looking very solid. They got a clean sheet last week against Wolves, and they've still got a couple of good matches coming up. Cancelo, he's getting on the bonus points quite frequently. He's getting pretty far forward as well, chipping in with those goals and assists. So for me, even though he's got a trickier one this week of Manchester United at home, it's still a great chance to have him in the squad, as he's such an essential option. I believe he has contributed a goal and an assist already, plus he's contributed multiple assists in the Champions League so far. So for a player that's just getting so many clean sheets and no minutes for Man City, he's one that has to be in the squad. Royce James is another premium option that features here, as Chelsea do have some very good fixtures from now until Game Week 16 as well. Royce James does have some of the better underlying stats amongst defenders so far this season, as he does have the second highest expected assist stat amongst players at the back. It's around 1.5 right now, and Chelsea's fixtures do get a bit better. Crystal Palace away this week, not the easiest one, but then after that, I do believe they have 4 or 5 fixtures with an FPL rating of just 2 in the next 6 games, which is very promising. Of course, Royce James chips in with those goals and assists. He gets far forward, and I am hoping that Chelsea defence can improve under Graham Potter, which will of course see Royce James get plenty of FPL points and prove to be a nice value pick at around 6 million at the moment. Let's have a look at the midfielders now. Wilfried Zaha is the first one here, and for me, he's probably one of my favourite mid-price midfielder picks right now. You've seen me talk about him a fair bit previously. He's only got a 15% ownership or so at the moment, so still a decent differential option, and at £7.2 million, definitely a very nice value pick. Crystal Palace, as we touched on with Guaita, do have some excellent fixtures, and from an attacking standpoint, Chelsea at home isn't actually the worst fixture, as their defence has been quite poor recently, and Wilfried Zaha does typically perform well at home. He's on penalties, he's getting plenty of service from his teammates, which is shown by his XG, which is sitting at around 3 at the moment, despite him only playing the 5 games so far this season. He's also recorded 4 goals this time as well, which is very impressive. So it's definitely a great goal scorer for Crystal Palace, and with some superb fixtures from now until Game Week 16, having him in the squad now in a wild card is a great chance to capitalise on some imminent price rises for him, as there's no way lots of managers don't get him in if he performs well, which will of course see his price increase, as for me he's already one very close to seeing a price rise, using using fantasy football fixes price rise tool. So for now, a very solid pick. We can always move him out if he doesn't perform well, but for me, a very, very good differential to have there from now until Game Week 16. Speaking of some other good mid-price midfielders, I've seen Maddison in a lot of wildcard squads. We have got him featuring here. This does allow for more money to be spent around the squad, as we did previously have Sterling in our first draft for our wildcard for Game Week 9. But for me, by having Maddison, it allows you to play a 3-forward formation. Definitely a bit more flexibility around the squad from now until Game Week 16. And Maddison, it does have some good fixtures for Leicester as well. Harder by Nottingham Forest at home in Game Week 9. Obviously, Nottingham Forest have conceded a lot of goals. Maddison is getting into some great positions. He does have 3 goals and 1 assist already in around 6 games for Leicester, which is a fairly decent output for them. And of course, he's hopping on those bonus points when he scores, which is always useful. So for me, a decent player with a fairly low ownership right now. Definitely a very popular player on the wildcards, but probably a fairly essential one considering Leicester's very good fixtures. There is a couple of other good Leicester assets that you can maybe look at, but for me, Maddison's my favourite pick. Moving on to Mo Salah, he's the sort of debatable premium option in this team. Brighton at home's a good fixture, but once again in a similar position to Trent, in the sense that you want to jump on those Liverpool assets before they rise in price and rise in ownership, which would be expected to occur around Game Week 12. For me, once again, it's a case of just avoiding booking in that transfer down the line. If you do go for Kevin De Bruyne on the wild card, you're most likely going to move him out in Game Week 12, as he does have that blank fixture this game week. And if you're looking at Liverpool's next 3 compared to Man City's next 3, it is fairly similar in difficulty. I do believe they verse each other in Game Week 11 as well. So for now until Game Week 12, when Liverpool do have their good fixture run, I'd argue that Liverpool just have just as good fixtures as Man City. So you might as well just go for Mo Salah now, save yourself that free transfer that you're going to use in Game Week 12. Liverpool do have a good fixture swing, and of course, despite Salah not being the best so far this season, he has put up good underlying stats. He's been in good recent form. He got himself a goal in the Champions League, so hopefully he can transfer this form over to the Premier League. I do believe he actually has attempted the most assists out of any player, so proving to be more of an assister this year, which is a bit surprising. But of course, unlike De Bruyne, he is on penalties as well, which he has yet to receive one this season. So for me, probably the best premium midfielder option right now. I can see why managers are going for De Bruyne and Son, but with the Liverpool fixture swing in Game Week 12, good to jump on them now and hopefully capitalise on those price rises and potentially see him perform well in the short term. Gabrielle Martinelli is another one that rounds out the midfield. Just a very good, cheap option, a solid role player in the side. I believe he's around £6.6 million. Most managers did have him from Game Week 1, so he's not going to cost you too much money there. He allows for extra money to be spent around the squad. And at that price, he probably is one of the better options. Yes, Arsenal do blank in Game Week 12, but looking at the squad depth here, you should be able to rotate in a couple of players for this game week, and then always starting back in Game Week 13 as well. So for me, despite Arsenal not having the best fixtures and a blank game week, you're not going to find too much better value than Martinelli at his price right now, and that's why he's in the team. He's getting lots of chances for Arsenal, and he's attempting lots of assists. Despite him blanking last week, still had a very big chance early on in the game, which he could have easily converted and added another goal to his tally this season. Alexander Mitrovic is a part of a front 3 in this wildcard squad, as we touched on. Obviously, it's seen Sterling downgraded to Maddison, and that extra forward has been added here. Mitrovic and Hahn, for me, are 2 pretty essential options to have in the forward line. Mitrovic, such a nice value pick at around £7 million right now. He's got himself 6 goals so far this season. He does rank in the top 3 or 4 for expected goals amongst all players this year, so getting so many chances for Fulham, which is nice to see. And they do have some very good fixtures coming up from now until Game Week 16 when you do get the extra wild card. So definitely a very nice pick to have in that front 3. And of course, Erling Haaland is a pretty essential option. He has taken the captain's armband this week, definitely with Salah in the squad. There's a bit of debate there as to whether you go for Salah or Hahn on the captain's armband, but I'm just going for form over fixture here. As despite Manchester United at home being a slightly trickier game, Erling Haaland, as we've touched on, is getting so many chances. His expected goal stat is the highest of any player. He's already got himself over 10 goals this season, which is very impressive. So the captain's armbands on him, purely based on his form. And then Dominic Solanke is the differential forward here. I believe he's coming in at £5.7 million, which is a pretty cheap price for him. He's getting lots of chances for Bournemouth, and he's been in good recent form. Plus, Bournemouth do have some good fixtures coming up. Brentford at home this game week is a pretty decent fixture, considering how poor Brentford's defence has been so far this season. And if you're looking for a nice punt in the forward line, he's probably the nice option to go for. Another one you could go for is Ivan Toney, but he is a bit more expensive, around £1.5 million more expensive. So you'd probably have to downgrade another player in the squad, which could see potentially Madison drop down from 7.9, whether you want to go for a cheaper player in the middle of the park there to free up the funds to go for Ivan Toney. But for me, Solanke could prove to be very nice value. £5.7 million is a nice price for him, with some good fixtures from now until game week 16, well, hopefully he can capitalise on this good fixture run. Looking at the bench, Everson sits here at £3.9 million, just allows for that extra money to be spent around the squad. If you do have more money in the bank, you could go for Danny Ward there, as he's probably more likely to start than Everson. But there is the slight chance that Everson does get rotated in, as Ward hasn't made the best start for Leicester so far this season. Otherwise, Tyrone Mings at £4.3 million, definitely a very nice value option. He is a consistent starter for Aston Villa, and they've got some very good fixtures coming up. Leeds away this week, probably not the easiest from a defensive standpoint, as Leeds' attack is fairly strong. But otherwise, it could be a good option to rotate in for Martinelli when he does blank in game week 12, as Aston Villa do have those good fixtures coming up. Otherwise, Andreas Pereira, £4.5 million, very, very solid midfielder option to have. For me, an essential option on the wildcard at this price, as he is the best player at around 4.5 to 4.6 million. He does have some good fixtures coming up, as we touched on with Mitrovic, so another one that can be rotated into the squad if a player does have a bad fixture. And then Nico Williams is the minimum price defender, as Patterson did get injured for 4 to 5 weeks for Everton. So now Nico Williams is probably the best starting player at this price tag, and that's why he features in the team. Thanks for watching today's updated wildcard team selection for Game Week 9. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, drop a comment down below and let us know if you use your wildcard this game week or already played it in Game Week 8. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and click the notification bell to not miss any future uploads. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.